Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this, our September 2nd, 2024 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including Michael Bailey's trip to Dragon Con. We're going to hopefully get Mark Lax on the show. He's a bit under the weather tonight, but he has said that he would be joining us, although I do have a message popping up now saying that his computer is not responding. So he's going to skip tonight's show. So I will just make it Michael and I for tonight. We're going to be talking about the rumor around a release date for a teaser for the upcoming Superman movie. We're going to be talking about the move to a new night for Superman and Lois, the fourth and final season. And we're also going to be talking about the Christopher Reeve Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, some international release dates. So we will get into all those topics. And as joining me, as always, very tired, but I think satisfied, Michael Bailey from his weekend at Dragon Con. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Doing well. And yourself? Was it a success?
I am. Yeah, it really was. I had a lot of fun. The Superman, the comics that inspired the movie panel was pretty well attended. A pretty lively crowd on that one. We did a top 5 Smallville episodes that got a little contentious because apparently I like absolute justice, and my buddy Kyle, who was on the panel, disagreed. 3 out of 4 of us, though, agreed Rosetta was the best episode. So that was kind of nice. We did the Battle of the Lexes, which wasn't a battle. We were just going over the live action Lex Luthors. And my favorite part of that was a Lex Luthor cosplayer came to the panel, and he had like a modified version of like the 70s outfit. He had little rockets on the boots and stuff.
Nice.
And he had these glowing things, these green glowing things that attached to his vest. But when he walked in a little late. And I said, "Did you bring the 40 cakes?" And he kind of grumbled a little bit. But afterwards, I walked up to him and I said, "I really like your costume." And he looked at me dead serious. He goes, "The 40 cakes is propaganda." And do you understand the 40 cakes thing?
Yes, of course I do.
Yeah, okay, yeah. He's like, it's all propaganda.
His reaction,
real.
I was like expecting something different.
He was
staying in
really
character.
Funny. He goes, yeah, but we laughed about it, and then he goes, "Sometimes they ask about the 40 cakes, and I ask about the 27, and if they don't correct him, he goes, 'So you took the other 13.'" But he was a super nice guy, though. Another Lex cosplayer was dressed in a suit and handing out
nice.
Vote Lex 2024 buttons, so that was nice. But by far, the best was the moderating the Kristen Crook, Eric Johnson panel. I think I heard him correctly, this was Eric Johnson's first convention ever.
Oh, wow.
Whitney Fordman has never been to a convention. And he is the nicest guy on the face of the planet. Kristen is great as well. But Whitney Fordman, despite what we saw on the show sometimes, I told him that I appreciated his character after, when his father died, because, I lost my mom my senior year as well. And I don't like to drop that on celebrities because it's kind of depressing. So I added, I didn't fall into a kryptonite infused gang. And he goes, "You got to pace yourself, man. Everybody's different." So, but I started off the questions while people got in line, and I asked Kristen, between being a witch, a vampire, and getting infused in kryptonite, what was the hardest thing to perform? And she said, being a witch, because of the Latin and the hand motion she had to make. She found those very annoying. But Eric, I asked him, because I'm always curious about this. You watch people play football in movies, and they do they do take after take after take, and I'm like, what are those like to film? Because that's got to be, is it annoying? And he goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question."
Yeah.
And apparently, when they were doing the football scenes, they had like professional football players as their stunt guys. And Eric Johnson, he said he played a little football in high school. He wasn't very good, he said, but he played a little football, and he was teasing one of the guys. And takes, this guy full on tackled him, like took him to the said, "Is that real enough?" And he was laughing about it, but but yeah, he apparently got clocked by the guy. So, but no,
Big mistake.
they were. It's really interesting talking to the cast members because we're over. I mean, she left in season 7,
Mm-hmm.
6, somewhere around there, and he was only in one season, which apparently he was not aware that he was going to die until he got the script.
Oops.
So yeah, it was apparently he was positive about it now, but apparently at the time it was a little source of. But no, two very very nice people. Really. Kristen Crook especially, she's just she used to talk about how she was kind of a introvert, but now doing the panels and talking to the fans at the table is like completely normal for her. So, but I had a great time. It was more Superman filled than most years.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun for me on that. And other than that, it was a lot of walking around and my knees hurt.
And did you pick up any merch?
No, there really wasn't a whole lot that I was interested in the dealer's room. Unfortunately, a buddy of mine gave me a spare issue of Superman that he had from a 20-man issue from the 70s, but I didn't really get. I think I bought an issue of Cine Fantastique, which was a movie magazine from the 90s. They had a Batman one that was only $5, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get that. But other than that, I mean, Rachel cleaned up. She found a lot of stuff that she wanted, but I was just, it's weird because the dealer's room is this mishmash of, like, you have your your Funko Pops, and you got a couple comics dealers, but I'm not buying back issues anymore. So I'm not sitting there like a squirrel, like hunting through the back issues. And there was just not, and so I was like, well, maybe there's like a figure or something, but even that, nothing stood out. So I came away with more money than I thought I was going to, I guess is the way to say that.
That's always good. That's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. I'm glad you had a great time.
Lots of fun.
Excellent. I'm glad the panels all went well, and I hope anyone who was there that was visiting those panels enjoyed them. And I know, Michael, you always do a great job. You do a lot of planning and a lot of prep work. So well done. Excellent work. And we'll excuse you. We won't do a yawn count because I know you are tired.
Yeah. If I yawn, I really apologize, y'all. But I was up at 3:30 this morning.
He's running on fumes.
It is now 10:30. It's now 10:30 my time, and I am just like this. If I sound like energetic right now, it's because I am faking it. So no, I did get one thing. I forgot to. You did. I didn't pay for it, but somebody gave me the Superman cape thing with the chains from
Nice.
Superman Returns that we run on the commercial for every once in a while. So
I'll run that today just for you during the break.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Because I know you're not going to open it and put it on yourself, but you'll know what it
does.
I
don't know if it would fit. That's the thing. They're designed for kids, and I'm a little bigger than a kid. So, yeah.
Very good. We should mention that our show tonight is sponsored by our good friends and patrons. We'll get them up right now. They are fantastic people. We really appreciate what they do for us. Luke Moody, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray, thank you for buying my coffee this week. We really appreciate the support that you give the show. And don't forget, folks, if you want to join these fine folks and be a sponsor of the show, you simply have to click the join button on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or you can go to patreon.com/Superman homepage. So thanks for the coffee this week, guys. Really appreciate the support that you give us. All right, so tonight we are going to start with our movie news, and as always, we have some tidbits in regards to the upcoming Superman film. And this rumor kind of has been doing the rounds a little bit in the last couple of days in regards to when we might see a teaser for the upcoming film, an official teaser. And the word is that it could be earlier than we thought. Everyone does think, and I pretty much would be surprised if the Super Bowl doesn't get a run as far as when we might see a teaser, because that is a big event, and some of the bigger budget films get to put their promos in front of the Super Bowl. But I am hearing that we may get a teaser trailer earlier than next year. We might get it at the end of this year in front of a Disney film, that being Mufasa, the Lion King. So it's a prequel film, animated, or it's a live action, but CGI animated film, if you like, about what happened, the Lion King himself. If you're thinking, why would Warner Brothers put a Superman trailer in front of a Disney film? They did it with the Barbie movie. They put it in front of Avatar, The Way of the Water, which was a huge blockbuster hit. And I'm guessing they're expecting Disney's film, the new Mufasa, the Lion King story, movie, whatever you want to call it, to be a big hit. And it'll have a family audience. And I'm guessing they're trying to reach a family-type audience for the Superman film. And that film gets released on December 20th. So December 20th might be the day that we might see a teaser for the Superman film in front of the Mufasa, the Lion King movie. So don't know. I haven't heard anything official, but this is just a rumor that's doing the rounds.
That actually tracks because it's about 7 months before the film. And I think when we talked about, because a couple weeks ago we were talking about when they might drop a trailer and how people were wanting it at San Diego, and we were like, this is way too early. But doing it right before Christmas, that doesn't preclude like a different Super Bowl spot, which I'm assuming they would want. It's possible that since the Super Bowl is basically at the beginning of February, which would be 6 months before the film, that you could have the teaser in December and then the full trailer hits with the Super Bowl, which gets it in front of more eyes. So yeah, no, I'm hoping out for this, even though it's just a rumor at this point.
It would make sense that you would want to get something in front of the Christmas audience because that's a time when a lot of people go to the cinema, go to the theater, and 6-7 months out from a film's release is not it's not too long. I think it's they did that. No. They did it's the Barbie movie, as I said, got put in a December 16th, I think it was, teaser. And then that wasn't until July 2023. So similar time frame, 6-7 months out from the release of the film. I think that's about right. So I don't know, if it will be with that particular Lion King film, but it kind of makes sense that it could happen. It is, like I said, a family-orientated movie that, parents and children alike will be going to see. And so that would be the audience that you would be trying to reach for James Gunn's type of Superman film, is if it's what we think it is, more of a hopeful, not lighthearted necessarily, but brighter version of Superman than what we got with Zack Snyder's more mature take on the film.
Yeah, and quick aside though, did we really need Mufasa's story? I mean, I like The Lion King, I really do, and I understand that Disney is all about cranking out content under their IPs and doing the live action versions of films. But I saw the trailer for this, and I actually thought it was a parody at first, and then my wife's like, "No, Mike, that's a real movie," and I'm like, "Really? We're gonna watch a? Okay, that's fine, whatever. I hope the songs are nice."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, whether the movie itself, Mufasa, is a great film or not, it probably will get a large audience going to see it, especially in its first week of release. So, and that's all we need for the Superman film, is that if it is a teaser before that film, that it gets a good audience to start with, and I guess it'll also be released online, so that'll get plenty of views. Also, yeah. Nothing is completely just for theaters these days because they just get leaked online anyway.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll wait and see if that one pans out to be true. No word officially from Warner Brothers or DC Studios yet, but it sounds plausible, as we said. So we'll keep an eye as December gets closer, and if we hear anything before that in regards to a confirmation. Now, the other film that is being released sooner than that is the documentary film Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story. And we do know now that there are some worldwide release dates that have been announced. So if you're not in the US, because as we know in the US it will be on the 21st and then on the 25th, which is Christopher Reeve's birthday, the movie will be also released on the 21st in Canada. So September 21st, it's this month. In Italy, September 25th, France, October 9th. Here in Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and Spain, it will be October 10th. The Philippines, Philippines, October 16th. Brazil, October 17th. Latin America, October 24th. The UK and Ireland on November 1st. And Poland, November 8th. So there's some release dates for our international audience who are keen to see this film, which is supposedly magnificent, and I've only heard great things about it, so I'll be looking forward to I'll be doing my best to go on October 10th here in Australia to see it. Looking forward to catching it, but there is also a special benefit screening that the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation is holding. It will be a special benefit screening and reception of the film, scheduled to take place on Thursday, September 19th, so a couple of days before the actual premiere. And it will be doors will be opening at 4:30 for pre-reception, with filmmakers and the Reeve family attending the screening of the documentary film, and a post-reception from 6 o'clock till 10 p.m. And you can visit our website for the link to that if that is something that you're interested in attending. I imagine that would be, I don't know exactly where it is, if it said where it was, but I imagine it's somewhere in Warner Brothers Studios at Hudson Yards. I'm guessing that's in LA.
Okay. I would assume so.
Yeah.
Since it's Warner Brothers Studios.
Yes. So there it is. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I cannot wait. I've only heard great things about it. The trailer moved me to tears, and so I imagine the film itself will be gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
And uplifting at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for this film.
Yeah.
Where I am in my head right now. So, yeah.
Yes, indeed. So that's the Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story documentary film. Speaking of the Christopher Reeve movies, Sarah Douglas is making a special appearance at a 2-day event, which I'll bring up the graphic for right now. Here is the details. She'll be appearing at the Imagine More, presenting the Super EMX event, Superman 2, with Sarah Douglas, as I said, on October 11th and October 12th. The live Q&A and screening of Superman 2 is on the Friday, while a meet and greet with autographs and photos will be taking place on October 12th, and that is in Batavia, Illinois.
That's exciting. I always like when the cast comes out to do those things.
Yeah,
Batavia sounds like
person.
I've never had the pleasure. I'd really like to at some point. Just because she was the one that did like all the press for Superman 2. Mm-hmm. they sent her around the world. So she obviously, I guess if somebody offered me a chance to tour the world and they pay for it, I would take them up on it. But Batavia sounds like like where Dr. Doom is from, I think. No, that's Latveria. I apologize. But yeah, that's an interesting name for a city, Batavia. Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before, so I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But it's going to be, obviously it's a big deal because they have one of the largest movie screens in the Midwest there. So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I met Sarah Douglas here in Australia when her and Mark McClure came out for a special screening of the Richard Donner cut, and I was really chuffed to meet her. She's a bit of a joker and just has a great personality, loves being around the fans. And it was really cool meeting her. I got to introduce her to my uncle, who was the gentleman who took me to see Superman 2 when it was first in the cinemas, back when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and then I got to take him to the Richard Donner cut of the film, which he'd never seen. So that was a cool experience to kind of reverse the roles.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a nice story, Steve.
Thanks. So so that was really cool, and she was really welcoming to all the fans who were there to meet her. And I was taking a photo with Mark McClure, and she like photo bombed us with like coming out from behind. So that was really funny. All right, so that's with Sarah Douglas. On the television side of things, Tom Welling was recently at Terrificon in Euchensville in Connecticut. Not this weekend gone, but the weekend before that, where he participated in a Q&A panel and kind of gave us a bit of an update on where things are at with the idea of a Smallville animated series. He says that they've been in the talks for a few years, him and Michael and Kristen and Erica and Laura and John Glover. They've all been talking about it. It was sort of Michael's idea, he says, but they want to take the Smallville animated series idea and see where they could take it, because they could then voice the roles. Excuse me. Obviously, they're a lot older now than, to kind of continue on those roles. We saw them do that for a crossover cameo, but they've, got an artist. They've got a poster that's been done. It's really cool, he says, but we can't do anything without DC saying that they can do it, and they haven't given us the green light, he said, but we're ready. He said Al Goff and Miles Miller want to write the animated series adaptation, but it's not their property, so they can't do anything until they get approval from Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Thoughts?
I'd like to see it at this point. It's nice that Tom continues to be open to returning to the role after all these years. If moderating that panel taught me anything, is that Smallville still has an extremely large fan base. And there's a whole generation of people that came into Superman through it. So if they can do an animated film, it's kind of like the best of both worlds, because you get to have the new adventures, but you also get to have the cast members actually do the voices. And so there's like a level of authenticity to that. So I just that artwork is interesting, I will have to say. It's kind of like a very Bruce Timmish from Superman the Animated Series. But no, I'd be totally down for it and want to check that out. I think it'd be great.
And just to be clear, this is just a fan created idea, animation style.
Yeah.
It's nothing official. It's not the artwork that he was talking about or anything like that. It's just a fan one that was created and has been bandied about. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this has been an idea that's been going back years. I remember like October 2021, Michael Rosenbaum was speaking about the idea. So it hasn't progressed in those 3 years, and who knows if it ever comes to light. But the fact that he keeps talking about it obviously means he's hopeful. And, I guess the more that they put it out there and they see what kind of response it's getting from the fans, then, it might push Warner Brothers and DC Studios to maybe consider the idea. It's hard to know whether or not it will happen, because we do know that there are Elseworlds ideas that they are throwing about, because they do want to do more of a cohesive universe across movies, TVs, video games, etc. So whether or not Smallville would fit into that is doubtful, but they are saying that they are doing Elseworlds and stories that fit outside the main universe. So it's always a possibility, and again, it will be dependent on how much demand there is out there to see whether or not this could happen. But the big story that might affect us, Michael, and we haven't spoken since you were at Dragon Con, but I did message you and Mark about this, is the fact that Superman and Lois, which we thought was going to be on Thursday nights, the CW has now shifted dates, and it will now be on Monday nights because they want to clash with our popularity.
Yeah, I honestly think that was the thinking on it. They were looking at like like our numbers, and they're like, we want to do those numbers. No, it just reminds me. What it reminded me of is how we played musical chairs with the days back when Supergirl
Yeah, that's true.
Was on the air, because at first we were doing, I think, Tuesdays, and then Supergirl was on Tuesday or something like that. And we had to move the day so that we could actually talk about it, because theoretically, if it's at 8:00 on Monday, I could watch it before the show. But no, actually, I can't. I don't have cable anymore. I have to wait till the next day, anyways. So,
and
that's
for me, it would be on the next night, which would be maybe tonight where we are now, because I'm on a Tuesday, obviously, at the moment. So yeah, we'll look. I know a lot of people messaged me about it and were like, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Look, we just need to discuss it. We'll see what we do. We'll logistically we'll figure it out. But whether we know most people won't be watching us over Superman and Lois. They'll obviously be watching Superman and Lois as a priority. So and it's only a 9-week period, because it's the double episode premiere, and then there's the following 8 weeks of episodes, and they will go back to back to back, because they've filmed everything and it's all done and dusted. So we might move nights for that 9-week period. We just need to work out what night that will be, and we will work that out once I know the schedule for how things are going to be going here for Superman and Lois in Australia. So bear with us, folks. We've got a month and a bit to work this out, because Superman and Lois Season 4, the final season of the show, will be premiering with a double episode on Monday, October 7th. And then it will continue on in the Monday night, 8 p.m. time slot, following each week for the remaining 8 episodes. You will be able to see an encore of the Season 3 finale on Monday, September 30th at 8 p.m. So from the end of this month, we'll probably be moving nights for our show, but we will give you plenty of heads up notice before that happens, once we figure out what we are going to do. But Thursday, October 17th is the double episode premiere for Season 4 of Superman and Lois.
Going to be great. Looking forward to it.
Very much so. Yep, we'll figure it out. As I said, it's only we'll be for that 9-week period. Maybe 10-week period, because the Season 3 finale will be on a Monday night. So we might move for that week, and we'll figure out what night that will be, and we will let you know as we figure it all out. But looking forward to the 4th and final season of Superman and Lois. All right, we are out about the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break, play some messages, then come back on the flip side to do the fan favorite segment of the show. We're going to be doing This Week in History. We have also got the Clark Kent costume analysis with Tom Welling's version of the character right after all these messages. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back real soon.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman homepage.
Right here on Superman homepage.
When Lex Luthor unleashes his plan to destroy the world, you can be just like Superman. With a Superman Returns inflatable suit, you can pretend to have all the muscles of a Man of Steel. Then, strap on the punch and crush gloves to hear the sound of every punch you throw and everything you crush. Inflatable suit accessory, you put it together, batteries not included, punch and crush gloves sold separately. And when trouble hits the skies, you'll be ready with a Fight and Fly FX cape with real flying sounds. This cape responds to every move you make, whether you turn left or right to save the day.
There you go, Michael. There was your cape.
Thank you. I kind of want the Inflato suit actually now. maybe I'll track that down next.
Very cool. Does yours have buttons like "Try Me" on the front of the?
Let me see.
Like, can you reach through and actually? The batteries are probably.
No, it's all sealed in plastic.
Sealed.
So
okay, there you go.
But yeah, it's got the chains and the cape. And the ad on the back for apparently they had these things that fit around your head to simulate heat vision.
Oh,
that's interesting. And an action figure. So I was really excited for the merchandise for Superman Returns, but ultimately ended up being really kind of disappointed with it. Like you had like 15 Superman figures, one Lois, and
Lex
Luthor on Hoth. Figure with him and like the thing. So
I've got those all up here.
Yeah, and it's just like I get that Superman Returns is not exactly toyetic, but you could have lied and like just thrown in some other villains.
I know, but yeah, it was Lois, Lex, a truck, and different like safe. Yeah, all these different bits and pieces that went with them, but nevertheless, I'm glad you got the cape.
Yes, I am too. I was very happy to have it. It's going to look nice in the collection.
All right, we're going to jump into the fan favorite segment of our show right now. All right, Michael, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
It was, what is your favorite Krypto comic book cover? And Lorenzo Valdez wrote in and said, I grew up on the Krypto, the Superdog animated series. So although I'm not a dog person, I've always had an affection for the character. For my favorite Krypto comic book cover, I submit Action Comics number 583, the second part of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. On some level, there's an irony to Krypto being among characters saying goodbye to Superman on this beautifully bittersweet Kurt Swan cover, given that Krypto himself is one of the characters whose literal death is featured in this issue. But of course, the story overall beyond that is such a good, loving goodbye to the pre-crisis Superman, and that by extension made it a goodbye to a certain Silver Age creations like Krypto.
There you go. Thank you very much, Lorenzo. That was long, but much appreciated. And Krypto is very small on that cover, but it does count. All right, next up we had JP Rocha, who said, my favorite Krypto comic is from Adventure Comics number 6 by Francis Manapul. It reminds me that I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just have to run faster than you. Go, Krypto, go.
That's great.
Very nice. Thank you, JP.
That's a good joke, too.
It is a good joke.
Cubby wrote in, it was hard to pick one cover of Krypto, so here are 10. Krypto is so very special to me. In fact, I named my rescue child after him, and I often have to tell my people my Krypto was named after the OG, not the currency, which is, unfortunately, that is something you gotta explain these days. I always, for a while, Rachel and I talked when we were talking about getting our second dog, would I want to name the dog Krypto? And I told her ultimately no, because dogs don't live very long, 10 to 16 years, depending. And I have lost 2 of them already, and I'm telling you right now, it is one of the worst things ever. So I don't begrudge people who do it, but I could never look at like an image of Krypto after that and not burst into tears. So, but that is an adorable dog, though. I love the cape.
Thank you, Cubby. Thank you very much. All right, John Van P. Vanderpelt sent us a response, another multiple issue entry. He sent us 8 covers, and thank you. He says, I found 8 different Krypto the Superdog comic book covers, which I believe is the most I've done for this segment for the Superman homepage, in which I'm very proud of myself. Happy Labor Day to everyone at the Superman homepage. Thank you, John. It's not a competition, folks. We really only want you to send in your favorite. That's why it's called fan favorite, not fan favorites. So we appreciate John and Cubby for sending us multiples. We can understand 1 or 2. You don't have to go to the extent of these guys and send us 8 or 10. But thank you, John, for sending in those.
Yep. So Jason J wrote in, "Hey, Phantom Zoners. We are not the Zoners from season 6 of Smallville. Thank you very much. My first choice would be Adventure Comics number 322 with a really fun image of Krypto hanging with his super pet pals. But my runner-up, and I agree with this one, Superman number 170 with a menacing shot of a snarling Krypto, perhaps Kryptonian rabies. Keep up the great work, guys."
Thank you. Yeah, so that was the first one, and that is the second one. So thank you to Jason for sending in those. Next up, we have Ryan Ignatius Pratt, who said, "While I'm not the biggest Krypto fan, I will nevertheless say that the 90s Rewind variant cover of Action Comics 1049 by Roger Cruz and Matt Lopez is my all-time favorite cover with the Dog of Steel. It never fails to cause a smile, bringing me joy and laughter." That is a good one. That's crazy.
Yeah, I love the Krypto in the background of that. I mean, it's just like the long-haired Superman's great, but it's Krypto that really ties that cover together.
Very good. So thank you to everyone for sending in those Krypto comic book covers for the fan favorite segment of our show. Really cool to see some of those Silver Age ones, especially. Our new fan favorite question for this week is, what is your favorite tribute or parody Superman comic book cover? Superman has been the parody of many comic book covers, from Mad Magazine to other characters who have done versions of Action Comics number 1. What is your favorite parody or tribute Superman comic book cover? Send that in to our email address, which is on your screen right now, info@supermanhomepage.com. Send in your responses to that email address, and we will respond and read out the favorites that you send in when we return to this segment next week. info@supermanhomepage.com. All right, let's now move into our costume analysis series. We are doing, this is part 5, I think it is, of our ongoing series looking at Clark Kent. And we are now up to Tom Welling's version from Smallville. So let's have a look at the costume of Clark Kent from Smallville. We're going to be looking at what happened in the series finale, because Clark wore mostly T-shirts and what have you. Wasn't really Clark Kent as we know it from the Daily Planet. So we're going to be looking really at the series finale and what he wore there. We'll start off with the glasses, and they're pretty much just black framed, very standard glasses, but bold frame, not the thin frame that we saw with Dean Cain's version last week, where the part that was encased in glass was merely just a wire frame. These are pretty bold and black.
Yeah, I never really liked these glasses, and I think it's because they do look so generic. It's like they found the first pair of glasses and gave it to Tom to wear. So it didn't seem like a whole lot of thought was put into what kind of glasses would he choose to wear. They're just like, oh, these are thick and black, so yeah, those will be fine. So I'm not a big fan of the glasses on this one.
Are there lenses in there, or are they just clear? Is it?
There are lenses if you look
to the right
on the right hand side.
Yeah,
you can see them kind of poking out. So,
interesting. Yeah, not the best glasses, but I guess they do the job. But considering you're not wearing a hat, because that would be the next thing we would look at, is whether or not, the fedora, and he didn't wear a hat in this, so that was disappointing, I guess. But it's a sign of the times. Men don't wear hats, even in 2010.
Yeah, by that point, yes. It was
Yes.
2010, 2011.
Yeah, so no hats, no fedora, which is a shame, but I understand why. The fact that actually, he wore a suit, and although here he is in the finale where he's, taking the jacket off, he's wearing brown pants and a brown lined tie and a white business suit, but he did wear a jacket over the top. So the fact that he was wearing a suit and tie, I guess, is pretty good for this era, because a lot of people in this day and age don't even bother with a tie. And he also had a vest at some stages as well, which is cool because I love a three-piece suit myself. But, I mean, a lot of people go to weddings and that these days without even wearing a tie. They just wear a suit with no tie.
Isn't that what he was wearing there? The suit he was going to get married in?
Yeah, that's right.
If I'm remembering the plot of that episode. It's been a long time since... It's been probably like 13 years since I've seen the finale to Smallville.
Yeah.
I may want to get on that.
Watch it all over again and get disappointed all over again. The finale.
See, this was the great thing is that I never expected to happen, and I wasn't I didn't care one way or the other. So I was just like, that's what they did. I mean, I see why people are upset, but it didn't disappoint me. I actually liked the final episode.
Yeah, fair enough. Got a super chat from John Patrick Van Pelt. Says that the glasses look even smaller than the other actors who have played Clark Kent, and they do definitely look smaller in size, although the frames themselves are a little bit thicker. Cape Tights and Lightsabers said, are these the same glasses he wore when in that episode where he time travels and meets his future self in the elevator? I think they are pretty much the same. They're wearing identical clothing, except the hairstyles were just... the future Clark had a bit more of a slick back hairstyle, if I remember correctly. And speaking of the hairstyle, here is another shot of the glasses, and the hair is just Clark's hair. I mean, it's pretty much the way he wore it the entire series, except when he was the red, blue blur, he would slick it back and be a bit more stylish. But otherwise, it's just pretty much a standard haircut.
Yeah, this Clark Kent is harder to judge mainly because this isn't what he wore all the time. This was kind of a rarity. But yeah, they didn't do much to change the hair, which they didn't really have a need to. We didn't see him. Well, we kind of saw him as Superman in the final episode. But even as like the red, blue blur, like you said, he slicked back his hair, so he's going through some level of trying to have a disguise. And it's not a terrible look. I'm just it just feels weird to me.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, you only saw it for that one episode or the flashback, those kind of flash forward even. So it's hard to judge this Clark Kent on just the one episode. If they were spending more time with him in his Clark Kent Daily Planet identity, then they may have spent more time finessing it. But for the most part, it's pretty stock standard. And so for that, I will give it overall maybe like a 7 out of 10 or a 6.5 out of 10.
I'll give it a 7. I'll meet you halfway there. It's not a terrible look. It's not the best look, but at least they gave us something.
Yes, indeed. So that's Tom Welling's pretty straightforward review of that costume. Not a lot to look into there. As I said, without a hat and without a real look at the proper suit, if he had really more than just that shirt and tie and brown pants, there's not really a lot to be able to discuss there. But nevertheless, that is Tom Welling's version of Clark Kent and another episode of our costume analysis series. Next week, we move on to, Tyler Hoechlin next.
Yes, looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm. So a lot more to sink our teeth into there. All right, let's move into This Week in History with Michael Bailey.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right, we're going to start things off in 1954 with a promotional giveaway called Superman's Buddy #1. Couldn't find a whole lot on this. But it's interesting. It's a kid imagining himself being Superman's friend, or dreaming about it. So
I wonder if there was a number 2 or if it was a one-off.
It was probably a one-off. What I'm assuming is that these were given away with when you like bought a Superman costume. If I had to make an educated guess on that. So also that same week, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen #2, where for some reason, why is Jimmy wearing Lois's superhero outfit?
The flying Jimmy Olsen.
I have a lot of questions right now, and we do not have time to go into any of this, so I'm just going to move on. Jumping ahead to 1984, this was a light week for comics. We have DC Comics Presents number 76, which teamed up Superman and Wonder Woman. I read this a couple of years ago. It's okay. It's not the best of the DC Comics Presents, but it's definitely not the worst. 1994, we have Action Comics number 0, which is the last part of the peer pressure storyline and the kickoff to the Dead Again storyline. Kind of a iconic cover there. Good shot of Superman with Conduit in the background doing his either stretches or he's trying to assume like a Jesus pose. I'm not quite sure about that. In 2004, Justice League Adventures gave away to Justice League Unlimited, which was the tie-in comic for the animated series with not a really good cover.
No.
I'm not a big fan of that.
It's like Picasso drew it.
Weird... Yeah, that's actually dead on accurate. I also included Majestic number 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that cover.
But and that's fine. But the reason why I included it is this was a time period where the Wildstorm books were really starting to have more to do with the main DC books, and the Majestic miniseries that this is number 2 got trapped in my own syntax there. But the Majestic number 2, because he switches places with Superman. Like there's
yes, I remember that.
And then this was the follow-up to that, where he's kind of trapped in our world, and then it starts a new Majestic series over in the Wildstorm imprint. I recommend all of it. Actually, go back and read the Joe Casey, Ed McGuinness Mr. Majestic book. It's actually a lot of fun. It's basically Joe Casey going, I want to do crazy Superman Silver Age stories. But I liked Majestic. That series ended interestingly. Excuse me. In 2014, we have Action Comics Futures End number 1. I know I reviewed this, Steve. I have no memory of it. The Futures End thing really kind of just passed me by. I was not interested in the main series. By this point, I think it was pretty official that the New 52 was kind of running out of steam. Yeah, you also had the Earth 2 one with Lois Lane becoming Red Tornado somehow. I got to finish that book at some point. But you also had Justice League number 33, which continued the storyline of this one was all about Jessica Cruz getting a real power ring or getting the power ring from Power Ring. And she was somebody who did not like to go outside. This era of Justice League isn't that bad. The thing is that I actually think Justice League as a whole is probably one of the most readable books to come out of the New 52.
Yep.
It kind of stood on its own. In the real world, September 1st is traditionally recognized as the birthday of Jonathan Kent, the older one. And there's a really good shot right before that version of Jonathan died. On September 3rd, Valley Perrine, who played Miss Tessmacher, was born in 1943. Hope she's doing well. I know she's having health issues. September 5th, James Bond himself, George Lazenby, who played quote-unquote Jor-El on Superboy, even though it really wasn't Jor-El. He was born in 1939. On September 6th, Superman the Animated Series premiered in 1996. It was a primetime premiere, and it was hosted by the star of a sitcom that was called Nick Farina, Licensed Teacher. I had forgotten all about it, but I stumbled upon somebody had recorded it back in the day, and they transferred it to digital and put it on YouTube. It was as awful as I remember it being, because he was really trying to be funny, and he really wasn't, and I just wanted to watch Superman. Also on September 6th in 1974, Justin Whalen, who played the second and slightly inferior but not bad Jimmy Olsen. I prefer Michael. I can get with that. And on September 7th, Michael Emerson, who did the voice of Brainiac, not only on the My Adventures with Superman, but also in the Superman Unbound movie. He was born in 1954, and that is this week in history.
Very cool. So 1954, that would make him 70 today.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Happy 70th birthday to Michael Emerson, who I think is a fabulous voice for Brainiac as seen in My Adventures with Superman. I don't recall too much what his Brainiac was like in the other thing, but definitely liked him in My Adventures with Superman.
Superman Unbound was an adaptation of the Jeff Johns Brainiac story. And it was actually really good. I enjoyed that one. I think that's one of my favorite of the animated films, mainly because it felt, even though it was adapting the Jeff Johns story, it felt like more of a post-crisis Triangle era Superman. And Supergirl was in it, and Superman gets reunited with like Zor-El and Allura. Excuse me, not Laura, Allura, because she's alluring. They weren't all that subtle back then. I'm just saying that. But yeah, I love that actor just in general. He was on a show called Person of Interest, where he was teamed up with Jim Caviezel, I think is how you pronounce that, where they basically used information from the internet to predict when crimes were going to take place and who the bad guys he needed to go after.
Mind the Gap is asking, wasn't John Noble Brainiac in Superman Unbound?
You know what? I am running on 3 hours of sleep, so I probably screwed that one up. Let me do a quick fact check, and you were probably absolutely right.
Yeah, I remember John Noble being a Brainiac. Which one? But yeah, Michael Emerson does a great Brainiac, and as does John
it was
Noble.
Superman Unbound. I was completely wrong. I apologize for that.
So Michael Emerson's just in Superman, My Adventures with Superman, or has he done something else?
Let's see.
I'll give you time to think.
Emerson,
do you want some thinking music?
Superman. Yeah, it looks like he was he was always just Brainiac on that show, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was in Lost, which is where you seem to have come back from an island.
Yes. No, that's fair. I'll take the hit on that. So.
Speaking of Lost, I've seen a lot of people. It's resurfaced on Netflix recently, and I've seen a lot of people discussing it. I was like, "Don't do it to yourselves. It was a great series while you were watching it, and then you got to the finale, and you were like, what?"
That was one of those shows from an era where the audience was really getting into all of the television, and there was always these mysteries and websites trying to pick everything apart. And the problem with that is that the people who create those shows set themselves up for failure, because the longer you play it out, if you don't have something that's going to stick the landing, people are going to mock it for the rest of days, and Lost seems to fall under that, which is too bad because it had a really good cast. Yeah,
it was a great show while it was running. It just didn't know where it wanted to go when it for an ending. Yeah. Now we've got 5 minutes before we wrap up the show, and this week, September 1st, marks the anniversary of something that is close to your heart, although I don't know how much of a gamer you are, but the Death and Return of Superman video game for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, otherwise commonly known as SNES. Based on, obviously, the iconic comic book story, the game lets you take control of 5 different versions of characters who step up to defend Metropolis after Superman's apparent demise. It's 30 years since this video game was released.
Yeah, I didn't have an SNES back then, but Rachel's brother had one that he left with us. And back when Jeff and I covered the Death and Return of Superman on From Crisis to Crisis, I actually bought one off of eBay.
Cool.
And played through it. And it's a fun game. It's a It's you go. It's a side scroller
Yes.
where you're just fighting people as you go, but you get to play all the different Supermen. Superman does not have a distinguished legacy in video games.
No, that's for
Uh,
sure.
I would argue that SNES game and Shadow of Apocalypse are the only two games that were really any good.
Mm-hmm.
With Shadow of Apocalypse being I loved playing that game.
Same.
But you also had like the Superman Returns game, which was just weird to play. And then, of course, the infamous N64 flying through the rings and all that. It's just, I just assume that video game companies like Rocksteady, who did the Arkham games and all that, just don't think a Superman game is going to sell. Whereas I think an open world Superman game where it's not so much how powerful you are, but have him do tasks. That was kind of one of the cool things about Shadow of Apocalypse, is that there was one sequence where you had to save a bunch of people that were trapped in like a cable car, and you had to use your heat vision to take care of, and you had to tap to keep like a waterfall from flooding the place. And that's how you do a Superman game. You just basically create tasks and timed events for him to rescue people, and I think it would, with a good story, I think that would do extremely well.
I didn't mind the way Superman Returns played the game, in that it had the health of the city as being the, like, not the health of the character, because obviously Superman is supposed to be invulnerable and without kryptonite and everything like that. So it was about the health of the city. If the city's health was going down, you weren't saving enough people or saving enough environments or whatever the thing may be. And so that wasn't a bad way to go with it either. But it would be interesting to see whether or not there is a Superman game that comes out with the upcoming movie, if they try to tie in something there, because James Gunn has said that they're trying to tie in all across the TV, movies, video games, animation, and everything. So video games was mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see if a Superman video game is part of the merchandise line, if you like, for this upcoming film. I haven't heard anything, but it would be interesting to see if something along those lines happens down the track.
If they haven't announced anything yet, they're playing that really close to the vest.
Yes, exactly.
Because video games take years to come out and design. So if they're just like, haha, we've been working on this all along, it's just like, wow, that was impressive. You have like ex-CIA guys working for you to keep that secret?
Talking about secrets, I did see the release of a announcement for a Superman movie version of I think it was Uno card game, and then it was taken down. I think they was like announced it too soon, and then they took it down, and so it was like, oh, okay, we could be getting the first look at some merchandise for the upcoming film, because it'll be interesting to see how it's marketed and what kind of imagery is used and designs. So that would be pretty cool once we start seeing some of those things happening.
Yeah, to be fair, I was not in the crowds that much, but I saw a number of people wearing shirts with the new symbol on it this weekend. That seems to really be kind of taking off. And there was a lot of Superman cosplayers too.
Nice.
Some really good ones as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to I'm just so looking forward to the merch, and I'm sure McFarlane's going to release a line of toys and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that.
Same. All right, well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and being with us for this past hour. Thank you for your company, for being with us on Superman Homepage Live tonight. I want to thank our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, Tina Murray, and our newest member of the patrons, which is, I'm always missing the name, Luke Moody. Thank you for your support. Thank you to my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And we wish our co-host, Mark Lax, all the best. Hope he's feeling better soon.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll be with us again next Monday night. Speaking of next Monday night, don't forget to join us. We'll be back 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, Monday, September 9th, for another edition of Superman Homepage Live. Hope you'll join us then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Yunus on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. Good night.